Hello, everyone. This is Molly from the Casually Molly podcast, and I just wanted to introduce you to my friends at the Natty Cat. This one is for you cool cats and kittens who can't get enough of wordplay and fur babies. The Natty Cat's natural soy candles feature inventive scent combinations in glass jars with clever kitties on the labels. Hand-purred with locally sourced natural soy wax, the Natty Cat's candles wood wicks create a cozy fireside crackling sound, perfect for curling up on the couch. Remember, for all of your candle and scented oil needs, please visit our friends at the Natty Cat either on Facebook or Instagram.
Well, you can do all those things and so much more. Just grab a seat in the chair or the floor. Sit back, relax, recline. While she drops another casual line. You're tuned into Casually Molly with Molly and Bergie.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Casually Molly podcast. I am your host, Molly Ambergy. Remember that you can always casually subscribe to the podcast. You can find us basically on any streaming service, Facebook, Instagram, the website. Name it. I don't know, guys. Happy New Year 2021. Actually, very exciting. This is the first episode of the new year, and I couldn't think of a better person to bring it on. Give it up for Dream On, everybody. Yes, the crowd goes wild.
Do like a little dance move or something.
Oh my God, you're really good. I love you're like, no, but you are. I could not do that with my arms, so I'm not even going to attempt. Dream On, here's the thing. So I asked you over via, not the most professional asking, but I messaged you via Instagram DM because I was like following you on Instagram. And how I met you, which I appreciate you coming on, but how I met you was we did a cool Zoom room together. Shout out to Spark Tabor. And we did kind of the toast and roast. And then I did like a random 5-minute set in between to handle some time. And I was so impressed with you because you're such a good artist. You have a really pretty voice. I'm really happy to promote you. But how are you doing? Let's talk about you. What's going on in the life of Dream On?
Wow. Well, I'm so glad to be here, first of all. And yeah, that was really fun. And it was great to hear you do comedy as well. That was cool. I really enjoyed that as well. I just have to say. What have I been doing? So I released a song a couple weeks ago, right kind of before that holiday, mad dash end of the year thing. And so been just, casually promoting it.
And theme. Got it. I like that.
Yeah, because, had to compete with the holidays and whatever, but, a little bit here and there, doing tons of live streaming shows. I also put out a video and most recently a music video to go with a song.
Yes.
And most recently a little behind the scenes video as well that just came out this weekend.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look at this.
Yeah, just a little extra, behind the scenes, just a few little clips to illuminate, the mystery of of the video. I don't know. I'm making it sound really, really amazing, but
it is though. I actually enjoyed it. So not to interrupt you, but speaking of illumination, where are you right now? Because you have all these bright colors. It's definitely kind of has like a new year kind of vibe to it, but I just love your bright energy. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube or watching a clip on Facebook, where are you right now? What's going on?
So I'm actually this is actually my room.
I'm so jealous. That's a great room. Oh my God, you've got balloons everywhere. You've got a piano behind you. What?
Yeah, I decorated for a few streams ago because I stream a lot on a platform called Twitch, and I did a blacklight stream. And actually, these balloons here are glow in the dark balloons.
Oh
and
my
so,
gosh.
Yeah, and so we have this whole place decked out and paint everywhere. And so this is kind of the aftermath. And I decided I wanted to leave the balloons up for a little while because they are so magical and fun. So they're here to stay for, a little bit longer.
Oh, I love that though. Well, like I said, you look like you're having, I just thought you were just like in a Studio 54 setting. Like I was like, this looks super professional. I love it. And you're like, well, I'm just in my room. And I'm like, I need that to be my room. Like I need to wake up to like a fun black light and like fun glow in the dark balloons at night. But what I love most about you, and then for those like as Dreamon had mentioned, you can look her up on Twitch. I showed her before we started streaming. I listened to her on Spotify. I do love your single "Love Me at My Best." I love you at all the times that you do, but I do love the music video as well, and it kind of just like has all this again. What is your branding? Because you have all these bright colors, and you even got like a cool bright hair color, which I'm so jealous of because I used to have bright red hair, and then I went back to brown during the pandemic. But what made you decide on the branding technique that you do have, or is it just like you as a person and you're like, here I am and this is me? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a change when I started Dream On as opposed to past projects. There was a rebranding, and so it was, it was a amalgamate of all the stuff that I've kind of done leading up to, but it was really kind of like the music kind of like dictated things because when I came out with this project, the first song that I did was this really retro dance pop soulful thing. And so I was like, okay, let me go for some retro colors, some dusty orange and some mustard yellow and some gold and blue and you know what I mean? And
Yes.
it kind of started with that. And I actually also had red hair at the time. And so I was rocking red hair for a long time. So I've red
Nice.
hair, redhead club all the way.
Yes.
And then I just basically a couple years ago, I changed to more of like an orange yellow kind of situation. And I just really liked the change because I felt like it was just kind of giving me like a brighter, like lighter kind of energy that I
Yes.
needed in my life at the moment.
Hmm.
Um, just to counteract like anything dramatic that was happening. And
Yes.
so I've been with that ever since. And yeah, the music really led the way with the colors, and it's easy once you kind of find your palette and can stick to it and rock with it from there.
Yes. Well, that's what I love is your palette. So it's just like you said about the lighter energy. That's why I like your music is because especially when it's been kind of a weird year, now it's 2021, so who knows what's going to happen, but in 2020. And so when you sang on that stream, I was like, she's really good. Like you sang the song No Chill, which you can also find on Spotify or wherever you stream songs. And so I was like, I got to listen to more. And there is like a very fun light feeling to you. Like you make me feel happier, which I think is great.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's I just like that's why I said I wanted to have you on because on this podcast, what I like to do is bring people on who do kind of bring a bright energy to others. So you kind of talked about your past projects and stuff. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you created Dream On and kind of what got you into being a artist, like a singing artist? What got you into music?
Well, Dream On, it kind of came at a point where I had been doing the artist thing, but I felt like, there'd been a lot of cool ups, but I really didn't know how to push it forward at the time. And I'd kind of been like, maybe I'm just going to do songwriting, or maybe I'm just going to do this or that. And I said, it's not too late. I love performing. So I was like, okay, I started asking around. I started asking other artists. I was like, do you know any good producers? Where are they at? I need a producer. And I got referred to somebody named Cameron Tyler, and he had a track that he had lying around. And he's like, I don't know. Do you want to try writing to this? And as soon as I heard the song, I was super inspired. And that became my song Rebel Soul. And then he also produced No Chill. And so when I wrote that song, I was like, okay, this is different than anything I've done. So let me do a rebranding. Let me come out with a new name. Let me just do this thing again, like reset, because that's how artists are. Like we're always like, okay, let's change this. Let's change everything.
Yes.
So,
Right.
it was that time. And so I'm really glad that I did do that because I started doing music about 10 years ago, actually, and I got into singing as a dancer. I was a professional dancer for other artists,
Hmm.
a lot of artists, varying levels, some just unknown, some known, and I always just saw their process, as a dancer. And I was always so inspired and I loved to sing, but I just had never pursued it professionally. I didn't really
Hmm.
have any training. But what I did have was I did have a passion for songwriting. So I had been writing songs, for myself for a long time, just cathartic songs, like feelings, 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 feelings. And then one day I just said, hey, like, let me get out there with someone can play guitar and I can just share these songs and see what
Hmm.
happens. And so that was basically the beginning of that. And it grew from really nothing, like I said, like no training, no, like I always say, like I had no business in this business, but I made it my business.
Yes.
So anybody
Yes.
can do it and it's crazy. And since then I learned guitar, which really helped a lot. So now I can
Mhm.
accompany myself, which is great.
Oh my God. So that's what I love about, your story. And then like that is the same thing with artists is that sometimes you have to have you start with nothing to create something. And that just goes with anything in life. And I definitely love I'm going to use that for the rest of my life now, Drew. When you were like, I'm going to make it my business to be something. Cause even with this podcast, like I always say this like in a lot of episodes, but I just like started on my phone. I wasn't sure. And then once you start connecting people and meeting with people, you start branding yourself and creating. But it is funny, like you're always transitioning as an artist. And I feel like sometimes people do forget that is that you're like, oh, I have to stick with this. And it's like, no, with branding, sometimes you change your brand, you create something different. I also could tell you were a professional dancer because even when you did your one little arm in the beginning, for those of you who watched, I was like, oh, her arms are, I was on dance team. I did dance like my whole life. So, see, that's good too. There we go. Yeah, we got our shoulders. We got this. I just need the black light behind me, and then I'm really gonna kill it. It's gonna be great. But yeah, now where are you currently based now?
I'm in Los Angeles
Oh,
and
that's right. I knew this.
oh no. And I'm born and raised here too. So I'm one of
Oh, wow.
the rare unicorns, I guess.
Oh my God, no. I was just in LA in February. I was there for 9 days. I've been to LA a few times. Why, I always say like to people wherever they're based out of, because sometimes we'll have St. Louis, sometimes you have New York, somebody's from Chicago. Why LA? Especially, I love it that you were born and raised there, and you're still there. And I was actually just watching segue to Ty Dolla Sign was on Song Exploder on Netflix, and he has like a whole ode to LA and why he loves it. And I actually thought that was very inspirational. So I kind of love that, where you were born, you stayed in your hometown. I love LA every time I go. I'm a city gal, so I also enjoy being in the city. So
Yeah.
why LA for you? Why did you end up staying there and you felt like that was the best space for you?
So many reasons. I think, you know, I hate to say it, but like a lot of times we kind of stick with what we know, and LA is luckily, a great place to do music. And I mean, pre-COVID, of course, with all the
Yes.
opportunities to do live shows and
Hmm.
network in person. But I think so much has changed now this last year. You don't have to be in a major city, and maybe that has been true for a really long time, and I don't even know because I'm just in this kind of LA bubble. um, but my eyes have really been opened over the last year, as to how much you can do, from your own space, and you really don't have to be in any particular city or country or place. And I really love that that's happening. Um, as far as up till now, it's I just always love LA. I know that people kind of have a love hate thing with it, and but you have everything here. You have my favorite place, which is the beach, and I just am always really inspired to be by the water.
I don't blame
So
you. Same.
yeah, so that's been a major thing for me, just being by the water, being close to family, and and I would go to so many events that were here, which was so helpful for me to network and, get together with co-writers that were also here.
Sure.
All of that's been, and before when I was dancing, all the auditions here, everything is kind of just, there wasn't really a reason for me to leave before. And now, sky's the limit kind of. So who
Yeah.
knows what might happen in the future.
Yeah, well, that's what I was that, you kind of experienced that too, because I understand how you kind of feel where it's like, you go where and I moved back to my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio for a couple of years when I was like 25 to 27, and then I moved back to St. Louis. And I feel like as an artist, you do kind of have to do like, certain things. You start out with what to figure it out. But what's been
Yeah.
interesting about this pandemic, and I agree with you on that, is that you're kind of like, oh, my eyes are opening to seeing people in other cities. Like if I hadn't done that show for 5 minutes in my pajamas, like I wouldn't have met you. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, oh, she's so cool. And that was one of the things I was like, wow, like I need to be seeing more of this. And even though I've been fortunate enough to go and see other cities and whatnot, it is very cool that technology does offer that opportunity to connect with people like we're doing now on this podcast. But I do think that it's really great that you found a love for LA. You have family that's there. Now, do you come from a music background, or are you kind of the unicorn, like you were saying, of, you're like, hi, because I'm a theater person and then I do comedy, and I'm the only one in my family that does that. Everybody was in sports, or my sister's a pharmacist, so it's a little bit different for me. So that's why I was wondering, do you come from a music background, or was this just something you kind of picked up with your soul and yourself? Like,
Yeah, pretty much just came out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah, I love it.
I'm not saying that my mom can't carry a tune, because she can, but no, we don't really know. I think my mom and my grandma, I think they both enjoy singing. But truly, my brother-in-law though is a composer. So when I was a kid
Wow.
and my
Okay.
older sister got married, I was very inspired by him. And um they were a big part of my life, and showing me things. Like they took me to a musical when I was a kid
Oh,
in New York City. And
yeah.
so, you know what I mean, that was like definitely part, one of those pivotal things that dropped
Yes.
that lit the spark, you could say.
Hmm.
um but for me, I just listened to a lot of music. All I did really was listen to music, like on my way to school. Every time I was going anywhere, I was listening to music. I had my headphones on and I was listening. So for me, I think that was just, the biggest thing, listening to music and then dancing to music and then trying to imitate singers and trying
Yes.
to like, learn how to shape shift my voice to be, all these different people, Gwen Stefani, and
Oh, love her. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
it just all like it was just that time in the right place. But yeah, no one in
Yes.
my family really,
That's
besides,
okay.
as mentioned.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, like I said, I'm from the same kind of, same place. So I totally get what you're saying. But what's nice too is that you've got a support system that is really invested in your career, which is awesome. I love that you had somebody who was a composer that exposed you to that, because I understand when I was little, my mom used to take me to see the Cincinnati Ballet, and I remember seeing all
Cool.
these dancers. Yeah, and you're just like, it's when you see something like that, it just sparks, the creative energy that's in you. So I totally understand. I remember having a Walkman, but it was a cassette. So for those of you who don't know what that is, so I know I have some listeners that are that young. Yes, I used to have a cassette player. But yeah, what's great is that you started from there, and then look how like successful and awesome you are now. Yeah, speaking of the success that you've had, I've watched your YouTube channel. Your videos are very cool. And the one that you speaking of earlier when you were saying you've got behind the scenes, you made a video, your newest single, again, I'm going to keep repeating it. So everybody, by the time they're done with this, is going to download it, because you should. Love Me at My Best. I really like in your videos, especially for this particular song, the message that you put out. Why don't you kind of talk about the song Love Me at My Best and kind of, a little bit behind the scenes, if you will, about creating that music video and the message that was a part of it?
Yeah, so Love Me at My Best was really about it was about several things. Like it's always up to interpretation, but for me, it was about inclusivity and about people loving you no matter what you're doing, not saying like, if you're a horrible person or whatever,
Oh,
but do you know what
no,
but
it's
you
okay.
know what I, you know what I mean? Like as an artist from personal experience, I found that even transitioning from a dance career to a music career, people fall off, or even
Hmm.
like getting a new relationship, people fall off.
Hmm.
Leaving a relationship, people fall off, and then you're putting yourself out there and your art out there. And, maybe there's some comments like, oh, we don't like this, or we don't like this song now that you're doing this. And it's different than what you did before. And it just kind of got me thinking like, why is everything so conditional? Why is everything based on other people's experience of how they
Right.
want you to be? Because it's
Yes.
your art, you
Hmm.
know? So I think if people are really supporting and loving you, then they're gonna be down for whatever iteration you're going through. They can at least
Exactly.
appreciate it,
Hmm.
and accept it. And I think that's,
Yes.
the acceptance is really the big thing, because a lot of people have dealt with not feeling accepted, not feeling included. And in my video, I really wanted to show people that were in marginalized groups. So I have a trans woman in the video and also a drag performer,
Yes.
both people of color. And just as an ally, it was an honor to have them in my video and just to have them be so generous with their time and their story as well, because they've experienced, in different ways than myself, but also similar, these
Yes.
kind of exclusions. And so really kind of just showing that, and different sides of things and different people. I just felt like that would be something that everyone can relate to.
Yes. What you just said, like I've always wanted to put my feelings about that song into words and I haven't been able to. And you like, just because I feel like with music, sometimes it does happen because a lot of times it's about emotion as well and about how a song makes you feel and what, message makes you feel a certain way. And you're totally right. It's just in art, everything is really up to interpretation. But what you just said was how I felt watching it. I was very touched by it. And I love that there were people willing to share their story, because there are times where you are in this industry, which, and I say industry really umbrelling because that's a word, but you know what I mean? Like casually an umbrella over, music, comedy, theater, like anything really under entertainment. And when you are
Mhm.
creating something, you're going to have people who are going to criticize. But what's very cool is that you will have people who support your creative spirit and your drive, which is, again, exactly why I wanted to have you on. Just because I think that you are that positive light and energy. So speaking of, positivity, what was a very positive experience? You can even say pre-COVID, it could be a Zoom show you maybe have done, but I'm sure you get asked like a book report of this all the time, but what was your favorite show that you did where you were like, this is really awesome. I really feel a good connection with the audience? I'm sure there's a lot because I'm sure you're
There
killing every venue.
there's a lot, but there's also been some that haven't, of
That's okay.
course.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say really in the last year doing these virtual shows, it's been so incredible. Uh, Recently I actually did a show most recently on Christmas.
Oh,
And
really? Very cool.
yeah. And I just wanted, in the spirit of inclusivity, just for people to have a place to go to, if they didn't. I know a lot of people can't be with their families
Hmm.
during the holidays. And so I just thought, okay, I'll perform on Christmas, and if anybody, wants to come. And people were there and we were celebrating, and it was, a very non-denominational celebration, just a group of people finding their tribe and just celebrating togetherness, and everyone welcome, everyone accepted. And I felt like the energy was really on fire. Like it was as the kids are saying, it was a lit experience.
Oh,
We
I
even did
love
some
that.
Elf on the Shelf,
Oh, that's
with
cute. I love that.
with my camera.
Aw.
Um, of course, a bunch of songs, but just some antics as well. And I just felt the spirit.
Mhm.
It was great.
I would love that. I just love that you were like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do some Elf on the Shelf. Let's do some songs. Now, was it like, I was about to say, did you have a dance party with it too? Because I've been in a few Zoom rooms where somebody will start playing music and then we have a whole dance party. And I would totally be down for a dance party to dream on. So,
Yes, of course. There was a dance
yes.
party.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, that's what the kind of cool too is that, you do all these like cool, like you incorporate all of these different talents to it. What I'll ask you is kind of like in the future, what do you think that Dream On's going to become? Or do
Oh,
we,
that's so hard.
I
That's
know,
like the
right?
hardest
Isn't it? Because here's
question.
the thing, you do encompass a lot, but we are moving in. I only asked that because it's only been 4 days into this new year. But what do you
Mhm.
think's probably going to happen, or what goal? You know what? I'll ask this: do you have any goals? We'll rephrase it because if we don't know, we can't predict, right? But what kind of goals do you have for the music in the future?
Well, I'm working on a new song already, and I have so
Of
many
course you
songs
are.
that
Yeah, I love it. Yes,
get on it. Um,
yes.
and I have so many songs too that are written that haven't been produced that I think have something to them. And a lot of the themes are kind of continuing, with this last song, like
Hmm.
celebrating yourself, your individuality. And I don't think that you can say it enough. I mean, I think that that's something that people will and do need to hear. Um and so I want to keep going with that.
Hmm.
And definitely want to keep the dance vibes
Yes.
alive.
Hmm.
And yeah, for me, I want to really grow the virtual streaming because yeah, I'm not sure when touring is going to be available and all that. So I really do want my music streamer virtual shows to grow and continue. And I really want to see big things happen with that.
Oh, well, I trust me, I have no doubt that that's going to happen. And what's kind of cool about these virtual streams too is like I feel at least you're laying a foundation for when things do get better and we are, someday whenever that is performing again, you're going to remember that one time I was just dancing in my apartment to Dream On and we were doing Elf on the Shelf. Well, now I'm going to go see this girl live. And like now I'm going to because, I feel like people, and again, I do say this a lot, but I feel like people do identify with people better when they get to know them. And I feel like people have gotten to get. Wow, today is definitely a Monday, guys. Hey, I'm so tired. But we're just busy ladies. It happens. But what I think is great is that people are getting to know you during this time, and it's nice to be able, at least for me, it's been cool to be able to like sit down while I'm working or when I'm cooking, and I can just connect, Dream On to my Bluetooth, and I start listening, and the playlist just keeps going, and I'm like, okay. Yes, exactly. Always. I love it. And I feel like when things do like go live again, whenever that is, I don't know if it's gonna be anytime soon, but eventually I'll still support you obviously via Zoom streams. But because I've gotten to know you and sit down with you, it's gonna be a very cool experience to see you on stage with all of your glimmer and your light. And so I'm excited and I'll be dancing. So it's all good. um,
Thanks.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
oh my gosh, yeah, of course. I mean, I always like to support people, so that's what we're here for. We got to casually promote and support. But
Yeah.
speaking of your music and being supportive, uh, when you're talking about your music, you may have kind of touched on this a little bit. What would be, I guess, your style that you would say for people? Because we're going to play your song at the end of the show, but what would be your style for people who are just now finding out about you and getting to know you?
So the style it's definitely a dance pop, feel good, kind of get you moving. It's modern pop, but with some nods to retro
Hmm.
aspects like the 70s, 80s, 90s. Um, because those are my biggest influences in music. So I would say, and I think it does have soul too for something
Yes.
that's so, it's modern, but it's also got soul. And I take a lot from those singers from those eras, and they're not afraid to go for it. And I
Hmm.
just, even with the changing styles of pop these days, I'll still have ad libs in my songs. I'll still have, things that nod to that era and those times, because to me, that's what I love so much and, grew up with in music. So I like to keep that going. And same with dance and videos. I grew up in a time where everyone was dancing in their videos. So that's
Yes.
why I love to have dancing in my videos.
Yes, and that's the other thing too, is that I love seeing the dancing in your, like, obviously I know we talked about the Zoom parties and stuff, but it is really cool to see you collaborate that into the video. Cause it's, sometimes it's easy to, just do like the singing and whatnot, but I love the direction that you're taking having dance, considering that you are a dancer, and we can also showcase that talent as well. Cause then you're making me want to dance to it. I'm like, all right, let's go. See, we got those moves, we got them going. So, it's really cold here in St. Louis, so that's why I've got this like huge turtleneck on. I was freezing today, so, and our heat is out. So I was like, great, this is so fun. Let me just plug in the space heater. But yeah, now I like see your bright room and I'm getting a lot warmer. So that's good. We're going to have some warm energy. This is going to be great. But the last thing I will ask you is, people that are watching this or listening to it, thank you very much. You are a musician, you are very inspirational. Again, we talked about your branding and your message and, why you base yourself in LA, and just everything about you is just really cool. So I keep saying that, but it's really awesome. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is maybe an aspiring musician as well, especially during this time? Sometimes it's a little bit harder to navigate, but you seem to be navigating through it quite well and been doing, very successfully with it. So what would you tell somebody maybe, kind of looking into being in your position at some point someday, what they should be doing?
Learn as much as you can. Never stop learning. Um, and and this is also just a really good time, I believe, to be an artist. As crazy as it sounds, I think right now being independent artist is more doable now than before. There's so many other ways to make it now that weren't available in the past. So just keep evolving, try things, and be consistent.
Hmm.
That I know it's very general, but
No.
look into what's available and embrace it, and just go for it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, take the plunge, because I feel like that's what you did, where you were like, okay, I started out with nothing. I'm going to see kind of like what I can do to create something. And I think that's what people, again, I'll reiterate this again, is that people need to realize that, you're not going to know exactly what to do in the beginning, but then here's somebody like you who's got a whole brand, you've got your music out, you're making these videos, and you're like, I was trying to brand myself and see what I could make. And now you've got a whole empire here. Dream On Industries. Here we go.
Dream on
So
industries. I love
I'm
it.
down. But it's
Yes.
great. So I guess like that is going to be the end of our episode. I'm very excited to promote this. This is going to be fun. And speaking of promotions, why don't you tell us where we can find you and look up your music? Like,
Yay! Okay, you guys can find me everywhere. I'm on all the platforms, probably all of them. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. All under Dree Mon, Dree space MON. And you can also find my website, dreamonmusic.com. All my socials are at dreamonmusic.
yes, love it. See, that's going to be super easy to find. And I'm also going to make sure they share all of this. So don't worry. And just remember, you can always casually subscribe to the Casually Molly podcast wherever you stream your podcast. Look up our website, look up our Facebook page, and also look up our Instagram. Last but not least, I always ask people, Dream On, what are you going to do now? Or what are you going to casually do now that our episode is over?
Well, I was going to casually make myself a cup of tea.
Ooh, nice. I might do that actually.
Kick around some balloons.
Yes. Nice. Oh, that's cute. There we go. So we're gonna have a casual tea party with balloons. We've got some music. We maybe put some Elf on the Shelf. I still haven't put my Christmas decorations away, and it's only, just decorating the apartment with myself, but I love it. I just look around. So, but that sounds divine to me. Sounds great. Well, I'm excited for you. For those of you who are listening, the song coming up is going to be Love Me at My Best by Dream On. Check it out.
You only doubt for me when I'm mad. I'll give you everything, but it'll never be enough. Oh, oh, oh. The only tragedy is your mind's an empty cup, 'cause you don't really know what you know about me. You can't understand. Even in the palm of your hand. No matter what I do, whatever, it's ever enough for you, enough for you. You only love me at my best. Don't really want me, can't take on the rest. You got an answer for everything, but your life's a mess. You only love me at my best. You only love, you only love, love, love. You only love, you only love, love, love. You only love, you only love, only love, only love. Now that you're gone, things are looking up. I found my antidote for your toxic love. Oh, oh, oh. I sent a postcard. I'm somewhere better off, 'cause you don't really know what you know